Hey everybody, welcome to another Dead Stick Adventures video. I'm Michael and we're here with this Cessna 152. This is an unusual 152 though because it's an Aerobat. And being an Aerobat, that means it can fly upside down, it can pull up to 6 Gs, and it's fully aerobatic. We are here at Rollo's Airfield in South Australia, which is just a couple of miles from Murray Bridge, our normal airfield, which is undergoing re-bituminizing at the moment, and they're extending the runway, which is going to be really exciting. So we've got a really cool plane in front of us here today. This is a Cessna 152 Aerobat. Now, interestingly, these were never really designed to be aerobatic, but they made them aerobatic and they turned out to be one of the most popular and diverse aeroplanes in the GA fleet. To show you what they can do, here's a short video of Phil Hooker in Tauranga in New Zealand performing some aerobatics in a 152. These 152s were produced from the smaller and, let's be honest, more lethargic 150, and they were produced to compete at the time with the Beechcraft Skipper and the Piper Tomahawk in the low-cost trainer market. So they took the 150 and they bumped the useful load, they increased the horsepower, and they fitted it with a more low-lead friendly engine. That's the Lycoming 0235. So production of these ran from 1977 to 1985, and in that time they produced 7,500 of these 152s, but only 300 of them were Aerobats. Despite being out of production for nearly 30 years now, these aircraft are still incredibly popular. You see them around everywhere. The Aerobats are starting to get a little bit more scarce because of course there was only a little over 300 of them made, but you can still find them. I can think of 3 that are in the area, the local area around here. Speaking of popularity, please go ahead and smash that like button down the bottom and help us out with this YouTube algorithm. In the 1960s, there were a lot of new pilots flowing into general aviation in the United States, and a lot of them were interested in aerobatics. So Beechcraft had already modified 2 of its existing airframes, the Musketeer and the Bonanza, to be aerobatic. So Cessna followed suit, and instead of building a new plane, they modified their little 150 to go upside down, and the Aerobat was born. Cessna was so proud of their new creation, the 152 Aerobat, that they even published this little manual that tells you exactly how to do all the different aerobatic maneuvers in their new aircraft. 4, 14, 15, 24, 25. Oh, behold the glory! So the Aerobat has the same engine as every other 152. That's the Lycoming IO235, good for 110 horsepower. So interestingly, for an aerobatic aircraft, it doesn't have an inverted fuel and oil system, so it can't sustain inverted flight. Now, it doesn't really have the power for it anyway, so it's not too much of an issue. It is a basic aerobatic trainer. And that's one of the downsides of taking an aircraft that was never really designed for aerobatics, is it's going to have that lack of horsepower. It just can't do as much as some of the aerobatic planes can. So the 152s were never particularly good at climbing, and then being an Aerobat, most of the maneuvers that they do have to be done at altitude. They were never particularly known for their climb performance. What Cessna did was put a fixed pitch climb prop on the Aerobats. That's got a reduced angle of attack, which means it climbs better, but of course it sacrifices a little of the top speed. For the Aerobat, they also beefed up these engine mounts to make sure this 0235 stays in place during all those hours of aerobatic fun. There's also some STCs out there to put a 150 horsepower engine from the 172, and it's called a 150-150. I've never flown one. If you've flown one, let us know in the comments what they're like. I'd love to know about the climb performance and whether they cruise any faster, whether they're heavier, what their useful load is. It'd be really interesting to know about the 150-150. As you know, my brother Ash is over in the States now flying the CRJs, and he's really enjoying it. He went up to Alaska recently and he saw a 152 on floats. So the fuselage is identical to a regular 152. What's different about the Aerobat is this strut. This strut came off a Cessna 172. Safe to say, it's pretty strong. That means that it can sustain 6 Gs positive or 3 Gs negative. And FAR 23 requires that the aircraft be tested to 150% of their load limit factor. What does that mean? That means that these little Aerobats can pull 9 Gs. So if you're anything like me and you've seen Top Gun 6 times, I think 6 times in the cinema so far, you know all about Gs. 9 Gs is fighter pilot territory. That is what I think the Boeing F-18 in Top Gun can only sustain 8.5 Gs. These guys, 150% of load limit is 9 Gs. So safe to say, these little Aerobats are a pretty tough plane. Something else I love about them is this checkerboard paint. And this one's got this nice, handsome gold stripe, which if you did a new paint job on it, I reckon it'd look schmick. So up on top of the wing here, one of the disadvantages of the Aerobat is small tanks, 49 litres here and 49 litres over there. You can't go too far in one of these. They're becoming very rare machines and they're highly sought after. There are very few planes out there that are so diverse. The 152 is just as happy flying circuits to touch and goes all day as they are spinning their way back to Earth. The perfect aircraft for any flight school, just make sure the instructors aren't too fat. And if aerobatics aren't your thing, you could always pull the nose wheel off and turn it into a Texas tail dragger bush plane. Welcome to the inside of a 152 Aerobat. The first thing people notice is these skylights, like in a 172 RG Cutlass. So these skylights help with visibility during aerobatics, so you can see where the ground is when you're upside down. So up here on the panel, we've got a control column, no stick like a normal aerobatic aircraft. We've also got a G meter, so you can see how many Gs you're pulling, and these jettisonable doors, which is really interesting. Here in Australia, we don't have to wear parachutes when we do aerobatics, but in the US, I can imagine seeing some of these get into some fairly unrecoverable situations. You pull that handle, it pulls the pins out of the hinges, the doors fall off, and then you fall out and pull your parachute. And these are supposed to have removable seat cushions, but this one doesn't. We've also got fully aerobatic 4-point harnesses here to keep you in place when you pull some negative Gs. All right, this is a mission. So this one goes here, and this one goes here, and this one goes here, but that goes through there, and that goes through there, and then that goes through, that unclicks, that goes through there, and that goes through there, and then that tightens up, and that tightens up, and that's how you get the aerobatic harnesses on. When you're doing aerobatics, this area's got to be clear, but when you're not doing aerobatics, you can put up to 120 pounds of gear back here. So as you can see, these 152 Aerobats are a pretty cool, capable little plane. They're not the best aerobatic performer, but with their benign handling characteristics, they're a great platform for pilots to get into aeros as a beginner. Thanks for watching. We've got new videos coming out every single month in a range of different GA aircraft. We've got access to so many, which is amazing. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get more.